Hello and welcome back to Topikia Inner Clarity. It is so wonderful to have you with us again.
It's good to be here.
We are stepping into a space today that I think is going to resonate really deeply.
It's a difficult one.
It is. It's maybe a little painful, but ultimately I think quite beautifully with a lot of you. We always try to create a safe container here, a place for real reflection.
Because the things we discuss, they aren't just abstract ideas.
No, not at all. They're the stuff of life.
And today is, well, it's significant, it's heavy. We are navigating what I often think of as the unseen storm.
The unseen storm. I like that.
We're talking about betrayal, but, and this is the important part, we're not just looking at the act itself. We're trying to understand the architecture of it, why it happens.
Exactly. And I think for most of us, betrayal is that one thing we fear the most in any relationship.
Of course.
Whether it's friendship, romance, family, even at work, it just feels like this sudden knife in the back.
Out of nowhere.
But the question we're really digging into today is, why? Why does that betrayal so often come from the very people we have helped the most?
And the follow-up question, that's just as confusing.
Right. Why do we, the ones who get hurt, so often end up being the ones feeling guilty?
It's a twisted knot.
And is it possible that we actually somehow teach people how to treat us?
That is the core thesis we are really working with today. People will treat you the way you allow them to.
And that sounds harsh. I mean, my first reaction to that is that it sounds like victim blaming.
It does initially. I know, it can feel that way. But our mission in this deep dive is to unpack that, to look at it through the lens of Carl Jung's depth psychology.
And we're bringing in some other perspectives, too.
We are. We're looking at some Stoic wisdom and even some Zen teachings to round it out. The goal is to move from feeling like a victim of circumstance to understanding the mechanics of what's happening under the surface. We're talking about the shadow self, the savior complex, and this, I think, fascinating concept of psychic debt.
It's about moving from what the sources call naive compassion to wise compassion.
That's the whole journey right there.
So let's dive right in. The title of this deep dive is about setting boundaries, but to even get there, we have to look at the anatomy of the betrayal itself.
We have to diagnose the problem before we can find the cure.
When I think of betrayal, like I said, I think of a movie scene, the big reveal, the shock, the surprise.
It hits you out of nowhere.
Like a thief in the night, right?
That is the common perception. That's how we experience it, as a sudden shock. But if we really look at the source material, particularly the insights from Jungian psychology, that view is, well, it's an illusion.
An illusion, so it's not sudden.
Betrayal is almost never sudden. It's a process. It is a slow burn.
A slow burn.
Think of it that way. The act that finally shatters your trust, the affair, the stolen money, the rumor they spread, that's just the breaking point.
So it's the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. It's the moment, something that has been forming, honestly, festering for a very, very long time finally comes to the surface.
So it's not an event. You're saying it's a pattern. That's a terrifying thought.
It can be.
Because it implies we missed something, that the clues were there.
Precisely. It is a pattern. And the truth, as one of our sources put it so well, is that betrayal leaves breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs.
There are always signs. Always. But most of us, we don't see them.
Why not?
Well, for one, we don't know what we are looking for. And maybe more painfully, sometimes we don't want to see them.
Because seeing them would mean we have to do something about it.
Exactly. Acknowledging them would mean disrupting our own comfort, or maybe our own cherished view of that person. It's easier to ignore the signs and hope they go away.
Okay, let's unpack these breadcrumbs. I want to get really specific here because I think everyone listening is probably scanning their memory banks right now, thinking about a person or a situation.
It's a useful exercise.
The sources identified 6 specific psychological signs, red flags, really, that almost always appear long before the knife comes out. What's the very first one?
The first one is incredibly subtle, but it's also pervasive. It's withholding the truth.
Okay, so not just straight up lying.
No, that's the key distinction. We aren't necessarily talking about outright provable lies. We are talking about silent lies.
Silent lies.
Omissions, half-truths. It's the critical information they choose not to give you. It's what's left unsaid that does the damage.
Oh, that's the, I forgot to mention, syndrome. I know that one.
Exactly. Oh, I forgot to mention I had dinner with your ex, or I didn't think it was important to tell you I was applying for the same promotion.
Right. And it's so hard to call them out on it because they can just claim ignorance or forgetfulness.
And they will. But Carl Jung has this really profound quote about it. He said, "A lie would make no sense unless the truth was felt to be dangerous."
Wow. Okay, break that down.
When someone withholds the truth from you, they are managing your reality. They're curating it. They are filtering information because they know on some level that if you had the full picture,
I might react differently.
you might not trust them, you might not help them, you might leave. So they give you just enough information to keep you in the dark, to keep you compliant.
That is so deeply manipulative. It's like they're the editor of a movie and they're just leaving all the important scenes on the cutting room floor.
That is exactly what it is. It's about control. You see, transparency exposes people. If I'm fully transparent with you, I'm making myself vulnerable.
And a betrayer can't handle that.
A betrayer or someone on the path to betrayal avoids vulnerability at all costs. So the key is to watch for the pattern. A single omission might be forgetfulness, sure.
What a pattern.
A pattern of omissions that's intentional. That is a strategy to maintain an information advantage and therefore power over you.
Okay, so that's the silence, the lies and the silence. The second sign seems to be the exact opposite. It's not silence, it's noise. It's overcompensating flattery.
Yes, the love bombing phase. And this one is so tricky because, let's be honest, we all love a compliment.
Of course. It feels good to be admired.
It does. But there's a certain texture to genuine admiration versus manipulative flattery. You can feel the difference.
How so?
Genuine respect is balanced. It sees your strengths, but it's also grounded enough in reality to see your flaws, and it's okay with them. The betrayer, on the other hand, just floods you with praise.
Over the top.
Way over the top. You're the most amazing person I've ever met. You can do no wrong. We are going to be best friends forever. All within, a week of knowing you.
It's too much, too soon. It feels almost like a sugar rush. It's intense, but it doesn't feel sustainable.
Because it's not. It's designed to create a pedestal. And Jung had a really interesting take on this, relating to the idea of expectation versus reality.
Okay.
When someone puts you on a pedestal that high, they aren't seeing you. They can't possibly be. They're seeing an idealized image, a fantasy.
And the higher the pedestal,
the harder the fall. It's inevitable. Often this excessive flattery is just a way to lower your defenses. It creates a kind of debt of gratitude. You start to think, oh, this person thinks I'm so great, so I must be able to trust them. I owe them my loyalty.
it's a transaction.
It is. And here's the litmus test. Notice what happens the first time you disagree with them or set a boundary.
Ah, yes. The moment you say no.
That is the moment the mask slips. If that over-the-top, gushing admiration suddenly turns into cold distance or even hostility just because you said, no, I can't do that for you.
Then the flattery was never real.
Never. It was a tool. They were buying your compliance with compliments. And when you stopped complying, the currency became worthless.
Wow. That leads perfectly into the third sign, which I think is the one we are all most guilty of ignoring.
I think so, too.
A history of betrayal. It was a misunderstanding excuse they have for everything in their past.
This is the cold, hard truth of it all. The pattern is the truth. Jung famously said, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do.
So if someone tells you that every single one of their exes was crazy,
pay attention. If their last business partner screwed them over, and the one before that did too.
or if they casually tell you secrets about their other best friends.
Listen very, very carefully, because they are showing you their playbook.
But we always think we're the exception, don't we? Oh, they did that to them, but they would never do that to me. We have a special connection.
That is the ego talking. That's our own desire to feel special. We want to believe we're the one who can finally tame the wild animal, that our love or friendship will be the thing that changes them.
That's not true.
Betrayal is a behavior pattern. For some people, it is a default way of solving problems. If they solve conflict by stabbing someone in the back, they will use that tool on you eventually.
It's just a matter of time.
If they cheated on their last partner, the probability they will cheat on you is incredibly high. You are not the exception to the rule.
You are just next in line.
You are just next in line.
Oof. You are just next in line. That hits hard. Okay, let's move to the fourth one, because this one it's insidious. It's so subtle. Subtle undermining, the just kidding insults.
This is where the slow erosion of your self-esteem really happens. It's the classic backhanded compliment.
Like, wow, that presentation went really well for you. Must be nice to get lucky like that.
Exactly. Or the joke at your expense in front of a group. Oh, don't ask him. He's terrible at making decisions. And then when you get upset, What do they always say?
Relax, I was just joking. You're being too sensitive.
Precisely. Gaslighting 101. Jung believed that the unconscious mind reveals itself in these tiny, seemingly insignificant ways. Those jokes are often repressed hostility leaking out.
So it's not really a joke.
It's an attack disguised as a joke. They are chipping away at your confidence because, deep down, they are often envious or feel threatened by you. They need you to stay small so they can feel big.
So if you find yourself constantly feeling the need to defend yourself against someone's jokes, that's a huge red flag.
A massive one. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Each one alone seems like nothing, but over time, it bleeds you dry.
Okay, number 5. This one feels a little more complex. Testing loyalty.
This is based on a psychological concept called projective identification. It sounds complicated, but the core idea is simple.
Okay.
The accuser is very often the perpetrator.
So the one pointing the finger is the one actually doing the crime.
Or at least thinking about it. If someone is constantly asking you, would you ever leave me? Are you really on my side? Why are you talking to that person? They're obsessively testing your loyalty.
Why?
Because they know how fickle their own loyalty is.
So they assume you're just like them. They're projecting their own untrustworthiness onto you.
That's it. They can't trust themselves, so they can't possibly trust you. It's a projection of their own inner instability. Think about it. A truly loyal and secure person doesn't need to constantly test you. They assume loyalty because that's their own state of being.
A betrayer expects betrayal.
It's the world they live in.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important sign of all, the one we're all born with. Intuition. The gut feeling.
Yes. The source material talks about the thin slicing concept. Our brains are these incredible supercomputers processing thousands of microsignals every single second.
Things we don't even consciously notice.
Exactly. The tone of voice, a fleeting facial expression that lasts a fraction of a second, a pause that's just a millisecond too long. Our conscious mind misses it completely.
But the unconscious doesn't.
The unconscious catches everything, and it sends you a signal. That bad vibe, that feeling of being inexplicably drained after you hang out with them, that little knot in your stomach when they call.
That's your body knowing the truth before your mind is ready to accept it.
And Jung was huge on this, right? He believed that we should never, ever ignore that irrational knowing.
He called it a betrayal of the self.
Absolutely. He believed that ignoring your intuition is the first act of self-betrayal. If you feel uneasy around someone, don't talk yourself out of it. Don't rationalize it away.
They're just having a bad day.
Right. Or I'm probably just being paranoid. No. The body doesn't lie. The mind rationalizes. Trust the body.
So we have the signs, we have the breadcrumbs, we know what to look for. But let's go deeper now. You mentioned earlier that we really need to understand the why.
Yes.
This brings us right to the core of Jungian psychology, the shadow. Why do people betray? Is it just that they're, bad people?
It's rarely that simple. From a Jungian perspective, it's much more mechanical. It's a psychological process. And Jung's concept of the shadow self is absolutely critical to understanding it.
Okay, for anyone who isn't familiar, give us the quick version. What is the shadow?
The shadow contains all the parts of ourselves that we have repressed, the parts we don't like, the parts we're ashamed of.
So our envy, our insecurity, our rage, our greed.
All of it. We shove those traits into the dark basement of our psyche because we want to present a good face to the world. We want to be seen as good people.
But the shadow doesn't just disappear because we ignore it.
No. In fact, it does the opposite. It grows. It festers in the dark.
And when it gets too big, it explodes.
Or it leaks. It finds ways to express itself. And this is where the mechanism of projection comes in. This is so important.
Projection.
We don't see people as they are. We see them through the lens of our own unconscious material. And very often, betrayal is a powerful act of projection.
Can you give me a clear example? How does my shadow make me betray you?
Okay, let's say I have a deep repressed sense of inadequacy. I secretly feel small and unimportant, but I can't admit that to myself, let alone anyone else.
So you project this image of being confident.
Exactly. Then I meet you, and you are everything I'm not. You're shining, you're successful, you're genuinely kind, you're confident.
Okay.
Initially, I might be drawn to you, I might admire you, I might even love bomb you, like we talked about, because I want to be near that light. I want some of it to rub off on me.
That makes sense.
But over time, your light starts to cast a very long shadow on me. Your success becomes a constant, painful reminder of my failure. Your kindness reminds me of my own selfishness. Your confidence highlights my insecurity.
So I become a mirror for everything you hate about yourself.
You become a living, breathing mirror. And I hate what I see in that mirror. But instead of doing the hard work of fixing myself, of integrating my shadow,
It's easier to just smash the mirror.
it is so much easier to smash the mirror. That is the betrayal. I betray you to destroy the reflection that is making me feel so bad about myself.
Wow.
Jung's view is that jealousy is what turns admiration into bitterness. They don't actually hate you. They hate that they are not you. And they hate you for making them feel that.
It's actually tragic. It's so sad. It takes it out of the realm of this personal vendetta.
And it puts it into this internal, unwinnable struggle they're having with themselves.
That's tragic. And it explains why betrayal so often seems to happen right when you're doing well. Have you noticed that?
Always. It's a classic pattern.
You get the promotion, you finally find a healthy relationship, you lose the weight, you start that business, and suddenly that friend who was so supportive turns cold.
Or starts undermining you with those jokes.
Yes. And it's so confusing because you think, wait a minute, I thought you were on my team. I thought you were rooting for me.
They were on your team when you were struggling.
Ouch.
Because your struggle made them feel superior, or at least safe and equal. But your growth, your autonomy, your independence, that is a direct threat to their ego.
And this touches on the power dynamics you mentioned.
It's all about power dynamics. Many relationships, especially unhealthy ones, are built on a hidden contract of power.
And what's the contract?
I will love you as long as you need me. I will support you as long as you are a little bit less successful than I am.
And the moment you stop needing them.
The moment you grow beyond that unspoken limit, you've broken the contract. They feel they've lost control over you.
So to regain control, or just to punish you for leaving their control?
They betray you. They sabotage you. They remind you that you're not so great after all. In their unconscious mind, they saw you as a possession, not a person. And your independence feels like theft.
That is a hard pill to swallow. The idea that some people only love our brokenness, our weakness.
It is, but understanding it is freedom. Because it leads us to perhaps the most painful, most specific scenario we wanted to discuss today.
Oh.
It's what the sources call the trap of the helper. It's the paradox of the rarest personality, the empath, the giver, the fixer.
Right. And this brings us back to that core question. Why is it that the people we help the most, the ones we pick up out of the mud, the ones we loan money to, the ones we listen to for hours at 2 a.m., why are they so often the ones who stab us in the back?
This is the one that keeps people up at night. It defies all logic.
You think, I gave you everything? I was so good to you. How could you possibly do this to me?
It's the most counterintuitive part of this whole deep dive. We think kindness should generate gratitude. We think help should generate loyalty.
But it doesn't.
But in the deep, dark world of the unconscious, kindness can be perceived as an act of dominance.
Dominance. How is helping someone an act of dominance? That sounds crazy.
Think about the geometry of helping, the physical reality of it. If I am helping you, I am up here and you are down there.
Okay, I see that.
I have the resources, you have the need. I am stable, you are chaotic. Even if I'm doing it with the purest, kindest heart in the world, structurally, I have positioned myself as the archetypal parent.
And them as the archetypal child.
Exactly. And no adult wants to feel like a child. It's infantilizing. It makes them feel small, weak, and indebted.
And this creates what the sources call psychic debt.
Psychic debt. This is a huge concept. When you give someone a gift of the soul, your time, your healing energy, your wisdom, your deepest care, that's a debt that can't be repaid with money.
You can't write a check for that.
You can't. And it creates a massive, crushing imbalance in the relationship. The recipient feels the weight of that debt every single day. They feel inferior. They know deep down they can never, ever pay you back.
And because they can't pay it back.
They have to find another way to cancel the debt. They default on the loan. But in the world of relationships, defaulting means destroying the lender.
My God.
In order to cancel the psychic debt, they have to prove that you, the helper, aren't so great after all. If they can hurt you, if they can gossip about you, if they can bring you down to their level,
then the playing field is leveled. The debt is gone.
The debt is gone. They repay your act of creation with an act of destruction. It's the only way their ego can survive the humiliation of being helped.
That makes so much sick sense, even though it's so twisted. It's literally, I can't rise to your level, so I have to pull you down to mine.
That is the exact leveling mechanism. And there are a couple of these complex Jungian terms that are really worth knowing here because they describe this perfectly.
Okay.
The first one is the idea of the mana personality.
Mana personality, what does that mean?
Mana is a term for a kind of spiritual power or a potent life energy. When you're the helper, the fixer, the one who has it all together, you have mana.
Okay.
The person you're helping is drawn to that. They want to absorb it. So at first, they mimic you. They copy your style, your words, your hobbies.
They want to become you.
They want to become you. But eventually, they realize they can't be you just by copying you. And that initial admiration sours and flips. This brings us to the second term, enantiodromia.
Enantiodromia, that's a mouthful.
It's a wonderful concept from Heraclitus that Jung used a lot. It basically means running toward the opposite.
Okay.
In nature and in human psychology, any force that becomes too extreme inevitably flips into its opposite. Too much order creates a desire for chaos. Too much repression leads to an explosion.
And too much idealization.
Inevitably flips into intense devaluation. The pendulum swings. The more someone puts you on a godlike pedestal, you are my savior, you save my life, the more certain it is that they will eventually need to cast you as the villain.
Because the only place left to go from being a god is into the mud.
There's nowhere else for the pendulum to swing. By playing the savior, by playing God in their life, you are, in a way, inviting the crucifixion.
Wow. By playing God, you invite the crucifixion.
Yeah.
That is, I really need to sit with that for a second.
It's a heavy thought.
It is. Because it implies that we, the helpers, have a real role in this dynamic. It's not just about them being ungrateful monsters.
It's not.
It's about us, perhaps unconsciously, disrupting the natural balance of things.
And this is the part of the deep dive where we have to turn the mirror on ourselves, on the listener. We have to talk about the helper's shadow.
Okay. This is the tough love part.
This is the tough love part. We have to ask ourselves, with brutal honesty, why do we help? Is it purely altruistic? Or is there a part of us that needs to be needed?
Is there a part of us that feels safer or more in control when we are the stable one and the other person is the mess?
Right. If I'm busy fixing you, I don't have to look at my own brokenness. If I'm focused on your chaos, I can ignore my own.
So it's a form of control and a form of avoidance.
It can be. And sometimes, by fixing them, we might actually be preventing them from hitting their own rock bottom.
Which is the very thing they might need to actually change.
Jung would say, we are interrupting their karmic cycle. We are standing in the way of their necessary life lessons. We're getting in the way of reality.
And when you stand in the way of someone's reality,
reality runs you over. This is the definition of naive compassion. We think we're being kind, but we are actually enabling weakness and creating a dependency that will almost inevitably turn hostile.
So this brings us to what might be the most uncomfortable but most important realization of this entire episode.
I can guess.
The concept of self-betrayal. We've been talking this whole time about them betraying us. But what you're suggesting is that the first betrayal actually begins at home.
It always begins at home.
Yeah.
Always. The external betrayal you experience is almost always an echo of a prior internal betrayal.
Before they betrayed you, you betrayed yourself.
That's the sequence.
How? Give me some concrete examples of what that looks like.
You saw one of those red flags we talked about in the very beginning, the breadcrumb, and you ignored it. You explained it away. That was a self-betrayal.
You felt a clear no in your gut when they asked for that loan. But you said yes because you wanted to be liked or you didn't want conflict.
That was a self-betrayal. You tolerated the just kidding insults and the subtle disrespect because you feared being lonely more than you valued your own dignity.
That was a self-betrayal.
Every time you silenced your intuition to keep the peace, you betrayed yourself.
Ouch. Yeah. We abandon ourselves first, hoping that they won't abandon us.
And in doing so, we form what are called unconscious agreements or hidden contracts.
Hidden contracts.
We silently create these rules in our head. We think, if I am always loyal to you, you will be loyal to me. If I'm the perfect partner, you will never leave me. If I sacrifice all my needs for yours, you will eventually love me.
But the other person never signed that contract.
That's the kicker, isn't it? They never even saw the contract, let alone agreed to its terms.
They have no idea it even exists.
None. We projected our own deep need for safety and certainty onto them. We tried to control the outcome by being good or perfect. And when they inevitably break this contract they never signed, we feel victimized.
But the reality is, we were trying to purchase a guarantee of safety with our compliance. And that's a deal that never works.
Never. And then comes the guilt. This is something the sources highlighted that I found so profound. Why is it that the person who gets stabbed in the back is the one who walks around feeling riddled with guilt?
It Makes no logical sense.
It's a defense mechanism, a very powerful one. Think about it. If the betrayal was random, if it was just because people are sometimes cruel and the world is unpredictable, that's terrifying.
Because it means we're helpless. We have no control.
Exactly. But if it's my fault, if I can tell myself I should have done more, or I wasn't good enough, or if only I had been more patient, then I maintain the illusion of control.
Guilt says, if it's my fault, I can fix it.
If I just change my behavior, I can prevent this from happening again. It keeps us stuck in the dynamic, even if it's only in our own heads, because it feels safer than powerlessness.
It's safer to feel guilty than to feel helpless.
Precisely. Which is why we have to learn to distinguish between what the sources call clean pain and dirty guilt.
Okay, what's the difference?
Clean pain is the appropriate, healthy response to being hurt. It's saying, this hurts, I am sad, I am grieving the loss of this trust and this relationship. Clean pain is what leads to healing.
And dirty guilt?
Dirty guilt is, I deserve this, I am bad, I caused this.
Dirty guilt leads to bondage. It keeps you chained to the person who hurt you. It makes you take responsibility for their actions.
We have to stop taking responsibility for other people's shadows.
That is the essential boundary. Your stuff is your stuff. My stuff is my stuff.
So how do we get out of this? We've analyzed the anatomy, the Jungian why, the helper trap, and now the self-betrayal at the root of it. Now we need the resolution.
Yes, the path forward. How do we move from this naive compassion that gets us into so much trouble to this wise compassion that the sources talk about?
The transformation really starts with a radical acceptance. Betrayal is an initiation. It's a painful, fiery initiation, but it's an initiation nonetheless.
What does it initiate you into?
Reality. It strips away your illusions about people, about yourself, about how relationships work. It forces you to grow up psychologically.
So wise compassion is the goal. What does that actually look like?
Naive compassion gives blindly. It gives to make us feel good, to make us feel like a good person. Wise compassion gives strategically. It asks the hard questions.
Like what?
Is giving this person another chance actually helping them grow, or is it just enabling their destructive pattern? Is this act of service coming from a place of genuine strength or from a need to be needed?
It's moving from being the savior
to being the sovereign.
The sovereign. I like that. What's the difference?
The savior dives into the drama. The savior tries to fix others, often to their own detriment. The sovereign observes boundaries. The sovereign rules their own internal kingdom first and foremost. The sovereign knows that you can't save everyone from themselves.
There was an analogy in the source material about a rope that I thought was just brilliant.
Yes, the rope analogy. It's perfect. Imagine someone you care about is in a deep, dark hole.
Okay.
The savior, in their naive compassion, jumps into the hole with them to keep them company. Now you're both stuck in the dark.
Right. That helps no one.
The sovereign, on the other hand, stands on solid ground at the edge of the hole. They throw down a rope, they offer help, support, a way out, but they keep their feet firmly planted.
And here's the crucial part.
If the person in the hole starts to pull on the rope so hard that they're pulling you in with them,
you have to let go.
You have to let go of the rope. You do not let yourself be pulled into the darkness. And that is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation and an honoring of reality. You can't save someone who is determined to drown.
And that involves a complete redefinition of trust. I was fascinated by what Sadhguru and some of the Zen teachings had to say about trust. It's so different from how we usually think about it.
It is. We usually treat trust like a leash or a dog collar, as Sadhguru puts it.
What do you mean by that?
When we say, I trust you, what we usually mean is, I trust you to do exactly what I want you to do and never hurt my feelings.
It's a set of expectations. It's control.
It's all about control. Real trust, spiritual trust, is radically different. It means, I trust you to be who you are.
Whoa.
If you are a snake, I trust you to bite. If you are a fundamentally dishonest person, I trust you to lie. If you are unreliable, I trust you to be unreliable.
And more importantly, I trust myself to handle it.
Bingo. That's the other half of the equation. I trust you to be you, and I trust myself to have the wisdom and strength to respond appropriately to your nature. That is invincibility.
Because you stop being surprised. You stop being shocked and betrayed by their nature. You just accept the reality of who they are.
And you set your boundaries accordingly. You don't get mad at a scorpion for stinging, you just don't pick it up.
It sounds like we also need to talk about karma here. Not in a mystical, magical way, but in a very practical cause and effect way.
Absolutely. The act of betrayal is their karma unfolding. Their action is a direct result of their internal state, their shadow, their pain. That's their path.
And your reaction is your karma.
Your reaction is yours to own. If you hold on to bitterness, resentment, and a desire for revenge, you are drinking poison and expecting them to die.
Yeah.
That's you creating your own suffering.
Then teaches that the betrayer has simply exited your path. That's it.
It's not a loss. It is a realignment. The universe, or life, or whatever you want to call it, is removing someone from your life who cannot go where you are going. It's a clearing, not a catastrophe.
I love that. Not a loss, but a realignment. So let's get really practical. If someone is listening to this right now and they're having a big aha moment, realizing, oh my God, I'm in this cycle right now, what are the concrete steps they can take to set boundaries and stop it?
Okay. I think we can break it down into 4 main actions. First, and this is the hardest for givers, stop overgiving.
Stop overgiving.
Respect the principle of compensation. Relationships need balance. If you are constantly giving more than you're receiving, you are inviting exploitation. Match the energy. If you're pouring a gallon of water into a cup that can only hold a pint, you're not being generous, you're just making a mess.
That is a great visual. Stop making a mess. Okay, what's second?
Second, believe the pattern, not the potential. When someone shows you who they are, through those breadcrumbs, those little jokes, that history of theirs, believe them the first time.
Don't fall in love with who you hope they'll become.
Look at the reality of their actions right now. That is the truth.
Okay, third action.
Name the betrayal. Don't sugarcoat it to protect your own feelings. Don't call it a misunderstanding or a rough patch or a lesson. Call it what it is, betrayal.
Why is that so important?
Because you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. Facing the raw reality of the word allows you to grieve it properly and move on. Softening the language keeps you stuck.
And finally, the fourth action.
Acceptance. Radically accept that you cannot control other people. You cannot change them. You cannot heal them. You can only control one thing.
Your access to them.
Your access to them. That is your sovereign power.
And that leads right to the idea of the sovereign stance. It all comes back to being loyal to yourself first.
That is the ultimate boundary. It's the foundation of everything. The moment you start being fiercely loyal to your own intuition, to your own values, to your own safety,
you stop attracting people who want to exploit you.
You do, because those people are energetic predators. They're looking for open doors, for weak fences. When you close the door to self-betrayal, you automatically lock the door against external betrayers. They just lose interest. There's nothing for them to get.
This has been, wow, it's been intense, but in the best way possible. We've covered so much ground.
We have.
We look at the signs, the silent lies, the love bombing, the patterns. We've dug into the shadow, how they sometimes hate the light in you that they can't find in themselves.
We looked at the savior trap, how our very act of helping can sometimes humiliate and create resentment.
And we've looked at the cure-wise compassion, the sovereign stance, and above all, self-loyalty.
It really is a journey from blindness to sight. Betrayal is excruciatingly painful, yes. No one is denying that. But it is also a lens. It's a powerful, clarifying agent.
It clarifies who people are.
And more importantly, it clarifies who you are and what you're no longer willing to tolerate.
I think the key takeaway for me is that the goal isn't to become cold or cynical or to build a wall around your heart.
No, absolutely not. We don't want you to close your heart. We want you to open your eyes, to learn to love with eyes wide open.
To love with eyes wide open. I think that's the perfect goal. Mm-hmm. Do you have a final provocative thought for us to chew on as we wrap up this deep dive?
I do. It connects everything we've said today back to that central point of self-loyalty. The greatest loyalty you can ever offer is to the truth within yourself. When you stop abandoning yourself, you will stop attracting those who abandon you.
Mic drop. That is really powerful. And on that note, I just want to ask everyone listening to reflect on one question.
Good piece of homework.
Where are you betraying yourself to keep the peace? Where are you saying yes when your whole body is screaming no?
Yeah.
Just sit with that. That's your starting point.
And remember that closing the door on a betrayer isn't an act of hate. It's the ultimate act of self-love.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the very shadowy but very important waters of betrayal and boundaries. This has been Topikia Inner Clarity. We hope you'll join us for the next one.
Take care of yourselves out there.
Bye for now.